GST Act. I request CA Ganesh Prabhu to occupy the dais. Please rise for the voter song.
Yeshasuteshu jagrati Yeshasuteshu jagrati Kamam 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 Pursho nirvimanaha Tadev shukram Brahma Tadevamritamucchate Tasmin lokaha shavaha Sarve tadunatyati kashchan Etadvaita
SIRC ICA likes to introduce the today's speaker, CA Ganesh Prabhu B. Is a Chennai-based chartered accountant. As a partner specializing in GST and indirect taxes for more than a decade and heading the compliance, advisory and litigation practice. As a counsel has represented clients in various cases before Customs, Excise, Service Tax Appellate Tribunal, Sales Tax Appellate Tribunal, Commissioners and other adjusting authorities of GST, Customs and indirect taxes. He advises various organizations and advises clients across verticals such as manufacturing, construction, transportation, entertainment, real estate, retail trade, automobile, educational institutions, charitable and religious institutions, hospitality industry, EPC contracts, information technology, business consulting, etc. As a resource person in GST and indirect taxes, faculty member, extensively toured to several parts of India to give guest lectures to members, finance professionals and students in goods and service tax during the days prior to implementation of GST, being the master trainer on GST affiliated by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Till date has made more than 350 plus physical and 150 plus virtual presentation and trained more than 15,000 professionals and 30,000 students and other members in GST at various seminars, meetings, workshops and conferences. Presented papers in GST and indirect taxation on various branches of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and in various business organizations such as CII, FICCI, MMA, KMA and other Chamber of Commerce, apart from professional organizations such as All India Federation of Tax Practitioners, Bombay Chartered Accountants Society and various Chartered Accountants forums such as Chartered Accountants Study Circle, Society of Auditors, Association of Chartered Accountants Chennai, International Chamber of GST Professional, etc. He is a resource person in ICT Academy, also a most sought of trainer in various government training organizations such as NASIN, CGST, SGST departments, Regional Training Institute, Commercial Tax Staff Training Institute of Tamil Nadu. As a member of GST study group of ICA, contributed to development of background material on GST law, handbook on annual return and technical guide on GST audit, developed by GST and Indirect Tax Committee of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Member of Governing Council, and he was the immediate president of International Chamber of GST Professionals, an association dedicated exclusively on GST and indirect tax. He regularly writes an article in reputed financial dailies and magazines and participated in various shows and debates in television. With this brief introduction, I request CA Ganesh Prabhu to this knowledge sharing session. I request CA Balasubramanian to present the memento to the speaker. Thank you, Balasubramanian sir. Over to the speaker.
A very warm welcome to all the members. It's been a proud privilege to be part of various initiatives of the SIRC of ICA. This time on my homegrown topic, no doubt about it, but on little different arena in terms of activities that need to be taken care from the representation perspective and more from the questioning the validity of show cause notices. I'm sure, just to rewind your memory of this particular year and maybe just brushing up your memory of last 6 months of earlier calendar year. Last 18 months, what is happening all around in GST? Left, right, center, fellows issues notice. And in terms of all these notices, various data analysis that has been happening. In fact, I personally feel for the first time, government sits with too much of data. Suddenly don't know what to do. A dog has to be matched with cat, cat has to be matched with donkey, donkey, cat, dog, all three should get matched with buffalo. Now, whatever you want to fill, you can fill, pardon my French. Now, point that I want to drive home over here is, very popularly, this is all can be concluded in a single word called as majority of the notices that are running around and left, right, center, we have been fighting it at different level. All these notices are return based liabilities. None of these notices test us on substantial issues, test on merit of certain matters. It's all runs on simple written based liabilities. Come what may, whatever be the notice. Ask a taxpayer of the 1.3 crore taxpayers in India, more precisely the 1 crore plus regular taxpayers who are all been effectively running the whole show, minimum 50 lakh fellows would have received one way or the other some notice. What is at that status? That's something different, but of late one point in time, with due regard, started up a practice on indirect taxes, start seeing notices and slowly learning the law. The first show cause notice for 1 crore rupee I saw after starting the practice 4 years later. That too, I gave a proposal to the client that this would be the budgeted fee that would be there and this is what is the time involved, and it was a very strict math I calculated and sent. The client said, no, you are too costly. In fact, I never had the opportunity to represent that notice also. Today all my article interns, the number that they say is 60 crore rupee demand. 60 crores. In fact, if some of us who can able to recollect, the column does not have space. So what happens is that 6 zeros gets completed and the balance zeros comes in the second line. So if somebody who is good in word art, this wrap text will happen in the show cause notice. Now why I want to press all this before even me entering into this topic is, this is what is happening all around. If someone says, Mr. Ganesh, I have not received notice at all in GST, please check. He has been filing for the last 7 years, nil return. That fellow, in fact, for that fellow also notice are received. Why you are filing nil return? Now you have not paid taxes to government more than 1,000 rupees. This is a unique notice that will be issued by central government. More preferably, which are all administered by the CGST department. You have not paid in the previous year taxes more than 1,000 rupees. Why not your registration can be cancelled? Boss, I am a startup company. Somebody is funding me and I am doing a cash burn in my business where I have been paying to my developers, I have been paying to in connection with setting up my company, which is basically something talks of how a 4th standard student can be analyzed whether he will become an engineer or a doctor or a chartered accountant. Now what you will do? No, I will ask 6 questions to the 4th standard student, and that 4th standard student will answer that 6 questions. Then I will decide, will he become an engineer, will he become a doctor, or will he become a chartered accountant. If he does not answer anything, he will become an entrepreneur. That's all. Now why I want to press this? There are different thought processes, new models comes in, business requirements are all different. In this context, where in spite of lot of notices that are being floating, I'm sure a lot of us sitting here will have different experiences when we go and personally represent department, and your experience will be completely different between representing before a central government GST department, CGST authority, and all together you'll have a very great, unbelievable, very awesome, beautiful experience when you represent before an SGST authority. Okay. At times you will have a doubt. Whether am I speaking the right side of the law? Because you've been keep on pressing on some points, suddenly you'll have a self-doubt in connection with some of the positions that you have already taken in connection with topics. What are we going to discuss over here? A lot of us already have enough understanding in connection with representing a client before the income tax authority. I personally believe representing a client before an income tax authority, representing a client before a GST authority has no big differences in connection with its representation. It is only the fact of the matter is going to be different. But for the fact of the matter and the section numbers that are going to be associated over here, and here and there few little technical knowledge in terms of how the procedural requirements need to be taken care. By and large, the model method of representation is always same. Over the next maybe 60 minutes or so, we would be again discussing on what are the requirements, which section more precisely gives powers to the chartered accountant in connection with representation. Do you have any small challenges associated with it? And followed by and a few other set of aspects in connection, closely in connection with representation. How are we going to correspond with them, and in what way those correspondence are going to help us? Let us all appreciate, for all said and done, this law and the method in which income tax representation is little different. In fact, almost on the fag end of an income tax assessment, we'll have a show cause notice. Now, little different over here. Here, first that fellow will give itself is called a show cause notice. Now, starting here, there are little modalities, differences, and those points will be discussed as part of the overall presentation, and then we'll get into some of the technical issues on show cause notices. And I have about 4 to 5 larger general issues that faced by predominant of the taxpayers to be taken up as part of those show cause notice discussion, and then I'll leave it out the floor for any discussions of your questions. You can stop me wherever you want. You want to have, in case you have an alternate view, yes, I'm open for all this discussion. I'm just sharing my very little limited understanding what I have on this subject and on the presentation, which generally I follow in connection with all this. Coming back over here, often it is being told, or it is a topic for discussion itself. Many times people come out and say, tallying a balance sheet is an art. It's no more a science, it's an art. Now, in any case, starting there, every time this issue comes everywhere, including does a representation before an authority, is it an art or a science? Can I decode something? Because whatever I could able to decode, very simple, I'll ask my AI to do. Mark my word, I'm sure all of us is going to live in this beautiful world, at least minimum for the next guaranteed 15 years. Mark my word over here. 10 years later, if somebody is going to present the same topic, 2 people will come and sit here. One fellow, which will be a human person, he'll come with his own robot, who will understand him well. Whether he understands himself or not is something different, but the robot will understand him well. Half an hour this fellow will speak, 1 hour the robot will make presentation. This is very soon that will happen. Now, why I want to press over here is the more and more we decode on certain matters, yes, it becomes a little more a topic which is more science oriented and we can complete it. But to my understanding, as long as physical representations that are there where people sit, discuss, make a eye-to-eye contact and discuss or deliberate either on a virtual mode or on a physical mode, whatever be those modes irrespective of their, this art of representation is going to, the method of representation will continue to be remained as an art. It cannot be remained as a science. I still remember, maybe as it stands today, 15 years before, for the first time I heard valuation is an art. I instantly asked my accounts teacher, now how come you are saying valuation is an art? For which he replied me a particular answer. I still hold, I think that was the best answer that I have ever received over here. Ganesh, have you sold your two-wheeler? Yes sir, I had the opportunity to sell two-wheeler. Your used two-wheeler? Yes, I sold. I bought a first two-wheeler and sold it at a particular time. Correct. To whom you sold? I sold it to a particular shop name vendor. Now what he did? He went, took my vehicle, drove about 1 or 2 rounds and then gave me a particular price. Okay. Now have you went to a showroom and sold a used two-wheeler? Never sir, I never did it. Now next time you try it over there. Just for the curiosity to know. Went to a showroom, that fellow told, sir, we will do a 128 QC check. 128 points QC check. Now what is this 128 point QC check? Your bolt is correct, your nut is correct, this is correct, that is correct, oil is there, how much kilometers done, tire has been used, how much, X, Y, Z reason, and then they arrived at same 40,000. That fellow never used here. He doesn't know. In fact, he is 10th standard dropout. You are some mechanical engineer of a very great degree. To my understanding, some things can be understood in terms of the art. Somehow I prescribe and I'm not be considered in a very great way in terms of the acceptance. I personally feel still representation for all said and done is an art. We have to live on our toes at the time of representation. We would have experienced, we would have thought about all the questions, probable questions that would have come, but at that point in time, out of the blue, a question will come and appear before us in terms of analyzing or which based on the facts of the case, a question which would have been posed before us, which will be more to be answered based in terms of the learning lessons that has been brought over the time. Quickly getting into the authority to represent. Where from the authority to represent comes over here. We have section 116. Section 116 of the GST Act and the respective state SGST Act gives powers to a taxpayer, allow a chartered accountant, more precisely a practicing chartered accountant. This is something very important that need to be appreciated by all of us. So somebody, a chartered accountant who is in employment or who is not holding a COP will not be will not be able to represent before the GST authority. Now, is it being practiced well? It depends from the authority to authority. For example, before the Commissioner Appeals of Bombay, unless and otherwise we don't give a proof of certificate that our membership and we are holding an effective COP, the hearing itself is not being scheduled. Now that same is not the facts in case of certain other adjudicating authorities. There are adjudicating authorities, if we say they allow. I am not now questioning, but when we go by the spirit of the law, there is a difference between the way in which income tax read the term authorized representative and the way in which section 116 on CGST Act is defined in terms of an authorized representative. There a chartered accountant, in fact an accountant is being defined. There a chartered accountant can represent. Here a practicing chartered accountant alone can represent before the authority. Having said that, this is the particular section. Apart from this, there are n number of people and a few professionals who can go represent. GSTP can represent, or it is going to be an advocate who can represent, or a company secretary, or a cost accountant, or the employee, or the relative of the taxpayer. All these people can go and represent, but nothing in terms of other than this. Now, when I represent, what is that I am going to do? I am just going to go explain the facts, cleanly, simply represent the authority. I have no obligations to conclude anything. Let me repeat it. That is something which what we call it as a very limited liability a CA has when it comes to when he goes and represent. He has just a professional responsibility of just going and representing the taxpayer, and he has no obligations of the taxpayer. Now, it is not that the respective chartered accountant goes, makes a representation and accepts a particular ground. It doesn't mean that the respective taxpayer is being bound or he cannot test the ground at the next level. All that is nowhere it is being told. Just a very simple presentation facility alone it is being there. Moving forward, when it comes to the way in which it has to be presented, what is the dress code, all that, it all is regular formal dress code, unless and otherwise a special dress code is being applicable to the respective profession, as there is no specific dress code applicable, so the usual dress code that is being applicable. Now, why it is more relevant? I'm sure not every time or not for every notices we can go and appear before the respective authority. There are matters, it could be a small matter of a registration related issue, or it can be as big as certain other matters. When we go, if somebody even goes from our own offices, let us start somehow cultivating or educating the modality. Somehow, preferably all the Gen Z kids are all around in all our offices. With due respect, some of us will be of a different generation, and we will have all those young generation who are been handling some of these matters in a very good. I don't question the knowledge of those young generation, but unfortunately the young generation feels a round neck bunion and a jeans pant is sufficient to go and appear before a adjudicating authority. I have my own different words in terms of this. Okay. Now, if you ask me, no, I'm not agreeable to it. To me, bare minimum, a collared t-shirt is required. And if it is not a weekend, I want formal pant. Now, why you are like this? Don't ask me. Now, because I've been very bluntly criticized in the verandas of the department. Mr. Ganesh, what is that you are wearing? I like checked pants, yeah. Now, it doesn't mean that always I have to be looking in black and white or any of those old gone grain colors. Sometimes you'll have a doubt whether the shirt itself is became so dull or the color itself is that soft. Now, why I want to press before you is, are people watching all this? Yes, at a certain level they watch. In any case, does this need to be educated? Yes, this all need to be educated, preferably to some of the young generation who go and represent. I don't think so all this need to be need to be discussed at the first two generations of this country, preferably after 2000. If we have somebody, now we have to call them, say them, boss, please go in all this dress code, maintain this etiquette, have a greeting, put a smile in your face, don't show your anger to the officer. Officer will be like that only because he is officer. Now, all this has to be thought, and I am more here concerned in connection with the dress code. There are no formal dress code. Yes, they can go on, as there are no prescribed formal dress code, they can be as formal as required. Avoiding all this is on a general practice I experience, because at times there are organizations will say, no, let our employee also come. Let them come. I'm not saying let the employee come, because always it is convenient to us, because how much we are speaking, how much we are pushing the officer, how much we are, in fact, how much we put efforts in explaining the complex matter to him. That this table vis-a-vis this table vis-a-vis this table, if you compare all this table, it will be matched. I'm not joking. Unless otherwise we put that effort, nobody listens here. Now, when an employee comes, I'm happy. But only challenge I have an employee comes is, employee need to be oriented how he has to behave. When I've been representing before a commissioner appeal, I had an employee, authorization is in all, both of our names, no doubt about it, basic identification, everything got verified. Suddenly that fellow get a call. He cuts the call. Again, with the next, again I pitch on that matter, 30 seconds goes, another call comes to him. I looked at him, sir, kindly put on to a silent mode. No, my boss is calling, 1 minute. He answers the call. See, understand. Sometimes all this need to be avoided. In fact, I was very hurt where the commissioner says, no, let him complete the call, then we'll proceed. I know by myself I lost the case there itself. That's different. Okay. Now, in spite of after that, whatever we explained, see, even otherwise it is a case, it will get confirmed only. I had one small hope, instead of 300% penalty, I will get 100% penalty. That's all. My only aim was, there cannot be a section 74, there cannot be a section 122, and there cannot be a section 125. Boss, I did only one mistake. There can be only one penalty. No. 73 read along with 122 to be one penalty. Then 122, one more penalty. Boss, in spite of how many times I murdered that fellow, there can be only one punishment. In the same fashion, how many times I did, there can be only one penalty. At least that one number will come down was my expectation. I was not expecting I'll get a complete shit waiver. Now I know by myself that will not happen. Because if I say something and all, they will say, no, this is order issued by DGGA. DGGA means what? DGGA, it's yet another investigating authority. That's all, no, DGGA means what? He is again another investigating authority who directly reports to the Ministry of Finance. That's all. He is not coming through your regular route. Like how you have a preventive, he is another. No. If they will issue only 74. Where from this rule, I am still reading the section to identify where all this has been written. In any case, coming back here, at times we have to be little careful if we carry people or a young chap, or it's good, the younger generation has to know, they have to go, they have to represent, all that is agreed. But only things, somewhere on dress code, somewhere on the representation, somewhere on, hi bro, how are you? No. This and all is okay for my office. That gentleman is a gentleman. How much ever you develop your nexus or closeness with the officer, for all said and done, he has to be addressed to us, sir, yes sir, ma'am, no, dude, no bro, Now, I'm sorry, you speak with some of these young kids, your time will be beautiful. And then I understood, okay, these are all 6 categories of people. So we are living in a beautiful generation. We will see 6 category of people, and we have to handle all 6 category of both sides. That side also now we have the new generation who come and sit. We have the youngest IRS who will be directly placed for representation as a division deputy commissioner. And when we go and represent, a representation before him will altogether be different because he is technologically high. You have your GST 2A in your hand. Can you give me on your thumb drive? Yes. He goes, he selects, he copies the data, puts the pivot table and analyzes, and then he comes up within the next 15 minutes. Just give me 5 minutes. He analyzes and throws. This is not matching, this is not matching. What is your answer for this? So my intentions are, at times all this need to be, do we need to analyze about all this? Yes. All this is always part of the representation. As on date, we have been representing before the audit authority, or it could be any adjudicating authority. The adjudicating authority bracket is in fact little wide. It could be the CGST department or the SGST department or the enforcement department of both CGST and SGST, or the DGGI, and rarely the DRI. Now, DRI also started to come in connection with all the GST matter, more directly in connected with customs. So all these authorities we've been regularly appearing, and then we also have the Commissioner Appeals who are also started the representation. Now, a representation before all these authorities are going to be completely different. When it comes to audit, for the first time, I'm submitting the documents of the client for a review. The scope there is completely different. And very interesting to note, we have certain identified, listed formats of data that are being called off. If you fill and give, they will do their own set of analysis. After their entry, they come out and verify certain matters. So representation before the audit authority is going to be completely on the different side. Audit authority is going to be on a different side, where basically we explain the transaction and just ensure it is being out. To the contrary, a representation before the adjudicating authority, where generally a representation before adjudicating authority is either at a pre-show cause notice level or at a show cause notice is issued post that level, or it is at the final stages of the hearing. Now in this context, we have a clean show cause notice on our hand, and almost the query will be raised only based on that show cause notice. In fact, I would put it in this way, when it comes to appearing before an adjudicating authority, it is something like, as long as we could able to answer the question paper right, which is the show cause notice, we will have some sort of waiver. Now, appearing before audit authority and all, very interesting times. Why? There is no question paper at all. He will ask anything under earth. And in fact, I still remember, on perusal of the financial statements of the assessee, and on seeing that there is one small job work charges paid, suddenly he called me and asked, do you file periodically ITC 04 return, which is need to be mandated in case of a job work? Sir, that and all is not applicable. No, you have in your P&L job work charges. Next year I told that company, why you are maintaining all this here? Call it as processing charges. In fact, what happens is that fellow come to this fellow's premises, does the processing and goes back. In fact, goods does not move out at all. Can you able to appreciate this discussion? If goods moves out only, there is a question for jobber comes, then there is a question for movement, reversal, filing of form, ITC 04, all the provision section 19, everything comes into play. Now just by seeing the financial statement, seeing one expenses, again in reviewing of financial statement, suddenly they will see freight. If they see freight, they will get highly hyperactive and all. Why? RCM. I have to pay reverse charge. Boss, for this freight already my supplier paid. Oh, let them pay. You also pay under RCM. Boss, among both of us, only one fellow has to pay. No. If he pays means he has to pay at 12%. I am talking of a particular era where you had that differences starting from 17th October 21st October 2017 to again 17th October 2021, something this interim period. If I get an invoice, I should get only at 12%. If I pay under reverse charge, I have to pay under what? 5%. Now only after this October 21 only they break it and told something, let them, either that fellow will pay, you will pay, somebody pay. That's all we want. Now why I want to press on all these matters is, by seeing all this, if it is not complied, their simple question is, have you paid it? If the answer is, yes, it is paid by the other person at this particular rate, then they question, no, that is not applicable, this would be applicable. Now, when it comes to representing before an audit authority, it's altogether a different ballgame. What questions is going to come? Previous evening, what he reviewed, what he should review, everything should be decided. In fact, I still remember there is a clean orientation that will go to the client in connection with before they are going to take up audit. See, GST department officer will come to your premises, will review. First when it come, take him a tour. Sir, what tour, sir? Your production tour. Sir, why, sir? No, you take him that tour. Let them go understand your process, explain everything in a hyper technical way, which means nothing can be understood by the other person. That's all. See, which we all known to audit. We know how things are all handled. Typically, if you have, no, Mr. Ganesh, it is not happening like that. Go ahead and recollect your bank audit experience, you will know. I've been not doing bank audit for quite some years, but I have done earlier in my past. We will know. The idea is all important papers will not be given before you complete the audit. After you complete the audit, it becomes irrelevant. Now, verbatim in the same fashion, go take him a tour, nice manufacturing plant, say him, explain about him, what is your process. And rarely people understand, and generally you will ensure only a technical guy accompanies the auditor. Department auditor, not your accounts guy and all appears. If the account guy goes there and says, this is only plant and machinery. Last year we bought it. We had one fire accident. That fellow will store fire accident. Why fire accident? So your fire accident, ITC reversal, new claim you made, so disallowance I should. See, look at that mind. This will process like this. Now if you send one technocrat guy, The technocrat, this is hyper synthesis of, we do a complete pollination of the process. If somebody is good in science, then they will be able to understand. I am not very good in that. Now my point here is, you put it technically. Let all that get complete. Let them come. Then start, they have their own set of process. They always come with their regular mandate, which, why or what was the reason for selection of this audit? Let me repeat. There is a risk behind all these parameters. That risk gets addressed. And the questions will be directed only on that risk parameter basis. Questions will not be addressed on any other parameters other than risk. Now, how do we gauge that parameters of risk? By the way in which they concentrate on which area. Sometimes suddenly they will concentrate only on input tax credit, which means they would have received instructions why input tax credit is huge in this organization. That we might know at a very late in time in terms of the presentation. Coming back over here, this representation before all these authorities are going to be completely different in terms of these aspects. Again and again, as I earlier highlighted, we have the complete authorship and answerability towards many of the positions taken during the audit. Why a position is taken, why it has been paid like this, why a particular tax has been paid like this, just to draw certain instances in connection with it. One of the pharma company has 5 assembly lines. Only 4 assembly lines are used for their automated processing, computer assisted automated processing. One of the assembly line will be always idle. If any of the 4 assembly line gets stuck because of the automation problem, automatically this assembly line will start. A very fundamental question was raised by the officer is, please note, among these 5 assembly lines, only 4 are used and the 5th one is not used. I said, no. Please go back, check with your production team. During last year, how many stoppage of production has happened and when this machinery was last switched on. Unfortunately, that is a company which is a Japanese company and they are good in quality check, all that stuff and all. They have a clean data. From that data, it is very clear last 1.5 years that machine, the in-between line, which is a dedicated line, in only used on those exceptional circumstances, was never used. Officer interpreted beautifully. That machine is not used at all. You are not eligible for credit at all. I am talking of somewhere around 36 lakhs rupees of ITC on a single plant. We have to go and fight with them. No. Please understand. Used means it can be directly used, indirectly used. Please read the section 16. It uses a phrase called as used or intended to be used in the course of production. So there can be an active use, passive use, ready to use. Sir, use. If I have an intention to use, I should be eligible. Now, why all this need to be pressed? At times, the way in which the law is there and the way in which it is being operating has a small difference, and questions of all this nature used. Apart from the regular differences that are over there, a position that is being taken, yes, it has to be pressed. Many times some of those organizations who are all having this manufacturing facility, they have been always having these electricity challenges. Because of these electricity challenges, majority of the facilities, majority of the factories have a electricity facility, their own captive consumption electricity facility, preferably a renewable energy based electricity facility. For example, just to draw on, it could be a cotton fabric unit, spindling mill followed by a fabric unit. That fabric unit will have about 10 windmills stationed at a particular location where the entire electricity generated out of that windmill is captively consumed for running the factory. In the same fashion, it could be out and out jewelry showroom which is being located in a metropolitan city, and this jewelry showroom will have in down south a location running about 15 windmills, where the 15 windmills electricity is being used for running the show of the jewelry show. Now the point that comes up over here is, generally electricity is exempted. Be with me. Generally, sale of electricity and electricity is exempted. But here, the electricity that is being consumed, which is transferred to the grid, and from the grid, when final invoice of mine is prepared, total units consumed, so much units your renewable energy devices are generated, and I have the final payable. In this context, my renewable energy sources, be it a solar power plant or a windmill, are used for the furtherance of my business, which is a taxable supply, and I should be entitled to claim input tax credit, not only on the product or the capital asset, even including the repair and maintenance of it. Let me repeat it, this is a very technical issue. But problem here is, I'm not making it little more technical by somebody who is going to enjoy 80 IEA or IB1 exemption. You have, I forgot, some windmills and all. Majority of them said, no, we will not claim this exemption. But again, if they have, they will come up with their deemed valuation and put it in the financials also. This is my deemed value of credit. Now, in that case, they themselves create their own challenges. But parking that, am I eligible for the repair and maintenance of this particular windmill or any renewable energy devices? The answer would be a very simple yes. But it takes a little circuitous route for someone to explain the facts, how it is used in the course of furtherance of business, and then claim the eligibility, because the ITC that is associated with it will be very huge. Now the point that I want to drive home is, these are all some of the issues that need to be taken care, where we have to concentrate on the facts. And here our authorship on the submissions that we make before the officer gains its momentum. How we write, how it has been linked with the production. Because he would simply say, no, this and that is not there. I will go one step forward. In one of the cases, the officer is agreed, he says, okay, you are a jewelry showroom, this, that, you are entitled, everything, whatever I fact sheet you, everything is over. In spite of all that, at the end, he denied the ITC. I got a little agitated. Boss, 3 days it took for me to convince you, and I have drink 4 liters of milk to convince you. In spite of all that, you are giving me or passing me an against order. No, Ganesh. I went and searched your GST. Okay, that windmills is not marked as an additional place of business in your registration. Can you able to appreciate this discussion? Please for a minute think. If that is marked as an additional place of business, only I am entitled to claim ITC, or it is used for my furtherance of business, I am entitled for ITC. He identifies out of the world one model, and basically the idea to deny. Okay, now you have a point, you want me to register, okay, I'll register and then give post facto registration, then almost at the verge of appeal getting disposed of, it got clear. Now, why I want to press all this is sometimes some of these facts and its answerability gains its momentum. When it comes to the drafting, a beautiful draft, all of us have the practice of making it. For everything, effective communication is required, and coming back to GST, many things is time bound. Everything is time bound, but this fellow is always within 30 days you have to reply. If you don't reply within next 1 week, one reminder, then one more reminder, and the third reminder, then that's all order passed. Now the timeline is very strict. Why and all, don't ask me. I have also introspected myself. When 30 days, the whole professional community who has been looking after GST will be free. Only after June 26. Until that time, we have one way or the other due date. Maybe tomorrow there is something. I'm sure somebody is, for all of us, somebody is very seriously taking care in terms of the GST annual compliance. Then February we have the due date for 2021. If that is getting completed, then the March comes the due date for issuing notices for 18-19 extended period of time. Then that assessment gets closed by September. Before September, we have August notice time limit for 21-22. And it goes till June 26. After that it becomes a regular routine for all of us. Section number alone differ. All along 73, 74 one section. But later on we'll have a 74A new section introduced, and we will have a single section to monitor. Now my core contention is, on receipt of any notice, if we are aggrieved by the notice, let's somewhere record all this. If you want to take time, let's take time more precisely and specifically. Many times the notice were not known to the assessee. Do agree with you, I'm having no second view about it, but that is the system. Today we are in a particular system where they are very clear. Our communication will be only to either the registered mail ID or to the respective registered mail ID's registered mobile number, or in your GST portal. This place you have to go and verify, and every communication of us will be only there, and that is the only mode of communication which we are going to maintain. No, you have cancelled your registration, I have changed my mobile, the mobile number belongs to my consultant, no, that belongs to my employee, this is old mail ID. All this is being accepted as an excuse at a little next level, and we are having some alternate remedies that are available. But prima facie, there are no specific exclusions in connection with all this. In connection with the representation, an effective communication is required, which will deliberate on what is the facts, why there are differences. And let me repeat it. Department sits with huge data. More precisely, state government departments has never sat with a data of this type at all. That fellow feels that he is actually a 4th standard kid who's dropped on a chocolate store. This metaphor is required. Now why? He feels everything has difference. Car. There are only 24 companies who sell car. And there are, pan-India, there are only 168 dealers who deal in car. And their company names are all there. They have decoded all this. Now all that I need to do is create a SQL report, run it on my database, get it, assessee-wise send it. Boss, I bought car. But please understand, I have to take credit. Only then your notice is what? Valid. No, you bought car, no, have you reversed credit? You have not reversed credit, 1, 2, 3, this, that, order is issued. Order issued not for an ordinary amount, 32 lakhs, 40 lakhs, in some cases a few crores. Fundamentally one question was asked, have I taken ITC for this car? That you never told, no, boss, I have cancelled my registration and it is 3 years old. Now you are issuing notice. Attendal, we don't know. We sent to your mail ID? Yes. Now why I want to press all this is a simple reply to this. We have not availed that ITC. This is the screenshot, respective GST 3B9. If that has been submitted, this issue itself would have not been raised. Now why I want to press all this is at times the issue are so simple that it is that all. And why it happens? Because somebody who sits at the system level, they pick up all this and come up and throw to us. If the issue is little more technical, a little detailed drafting is required, where emphasis of matter in connection with why eligibility to claim credit. In my humble understanding, the overall issues can be broadly categorized into valuation issue, or a supply taxable issue, or it is going to be an ITC issue or a classification issue. By and large, the issues in hand will be classified only into this pocket, or some of the return based liability. 2A is not matching with 3B, 3B is not matching with 1, 1 is not matching with 9. In fact, they have about 5 different documents to compare. GSTR 1, GSTR 3B, GSTR 9, GSTR 9C, on top of all this financial statement. Mark my word, all 5 will go in 5 directions only. If all 5 goes in single direction, there are only 2 reasons. That fellow files only what? Nil return. Or that fellow has never filed return at all. There are only 2 returns. There are 2 possibilities. There is no third possibility at all. Now, what happens actually here? There are differences. Differing law will have differing requirements. I have a accounting standard 7 which comes out and says me, I have to recognize based on my completion. Altogether, if somebody is very serious in complying with ICDS, they will come out and say, no, income should form part of all the taxes that are being there. Now I have to add all the taxes and report it. So I will have one balance sheet for income tax, one balance sheet for financial statement, one balance sheet for GST. What will happen to me? Why I want to press all this individually is, these are all the comparisons of late that has been stepping up, because every document is different. And best part is, never two comparable documents are compared. Again, next challenge is that, at least if we compare with my financials with 9 or 9, see, I'm okay with it. This is annual, that is annual, comparable. Verbatim, my 3B will be compared with 9. Or 1 will be compared with 9. Very interesting. Now, please note, if you could be with me, GSTR1 is a monthly return filed by the registered person. GSTR3B is a summary return filed by the registered person, where he pays tax, where he report transaction level information. I have a financial statement, or I have a 9. If I compare with this and if I compare with this, will I get two difference or same difference? If I compare this, will I get two differences or same difference? I'll get same difference. Because between this there is no difference. Between 3B and 1 it's same. But if I compare with financial statement, I'll get one difference. So this is difference number 1 for this 18%. This is difference number 2, boss. It is something like, on a little extended note, which there was a cake cutting also happened inside the department. I was also witnessing all that. That's my fate, forget it. So 145 crores demand. This is the first time we are issuing notice for this. Saw the notice. 4-page notice. 145 crores, 4-page notice. Difference between GSTR 9, table 8A and 8B, which has been basically the difference which comes in 8D for that one demand. 2A versus 3B for the same year, same demand. Boss, both are same. You have only one demand. No, sir. This is 2A versus 3B. That is 8A versus 8B. I simply told, please note, this is so and so company. This company engages only this advocate firm, which is there for the last 45 years in this field. And mark my word, they'll go to Madras High Court, get the matter remanded back. If possible, they'll ensure you impose cost on you. In fact, I was witnessing the arguments. Vehemently it was argued by the senior counsel that costs need to be imposed. The High Court was gracious enough, nothing doing. No, these are all initial years. We should allow people to understand how the law operates. But the point that I want to drive home here is, please understand, if this, I'm talking of somebody who is listed, who has a very big bandwidth, who can operate, who can manage all this. If all this happens to some of our small taxpayers, what will be the fate of them? Coming back here, a detailed representation, in spite of if we reply itself, considering that is very difficult, and if it is not replied, it is going to have its own challenges. Apart from the detailed reply that we are going to submit, this is a practice followed by me in majority of the cases. Our notices are all little different times. Sometimes we have a notice which is only for one issue or two issues, just one or two issues. Sometimes we have a little lengthier notices which runs into few pages and 8 to 10 issues are there. And with due respect, whether it is because of chartered accountancy, I don't know. Whether it is because of our writing skills, I don't know. Majority of us try to come and explain everything in detail and give a very factual and a lengthier reply. The disadvantage is it sometimes becomes like a CA final FR question paper. By the time we start the first line of the problem, we go to the last line of the problem, we'll forget what we read on the first line. Same fashion it happens in some of these representations where, because the show cause notice itself is 30-40 pages and it runs into few issues. Issue by issue has to be resolved. I'm talking of seriously some show cause notices which has about 4 crore rupee demand, 8 crore rupee demand, and which has variety of issues, and majority of them are factual, some of them are documents need to be submitted, some of them are to be cross-verified one with the other. In this context, in this larger context, all that we need to appreciate over here is a synopsis can be given in connection with, just briefly explaining 5 to 6 lines. this would be recommended. Preferably if it is recommended if the representations are before a little higher authority than the original authority. Where if it is going to be before the jurisdiction assistant commissioner or the state tax officers, as the case may be, or if we are going to represent before the little higher authority, a synopsis can work out where we briefly explain about the issue and cover it within 2-3 lines, explain why it has to be eligible. In fact, I still remember on the first representation in connection with transactional credit, we have been trying and pressing before the court, where I have made the briefing counsel very clearly, the arguing counsel very clearly on my brief that please understand, file, submit, save, all three are different. Because somebody who works on GST portal, they will know the difference between submit and file. Submit is my data and all, everything will be freezed, but it is not filed. Now, there is a small difference. After submit, I have to go and do the last mile activity of OTP validation or a EVC verification or a DSE fixation. Only then it becomes filed. Now, an assessee for a transactional credit of about 1.6 crores has submitted the form but not filed the form. Now, submitted, no, then it will come, correct. Submitted, filed, and saved. My application was saved, my application was submitted. You can verify from the back end logs of the respective portal, but only difference is it is not filed. Now, why I want to press all this before you is, this requires a small write-up which need to be written and presented before the judge to accept this and allow the assessee to file a rectification application and claim credit. Now, why all this becomes important? Sometimes a lengthier reply will not do. What need to be conveyed can be conveyed very simply. For those purposes, yes, the synopsis plays a very big role, and larger complex issues can be put in simple ways. Sometimes, in spite of all our proceedings in connection with we go, represent, make it, 3 hearings are being available, all 3 opportunities can be exercised. My recommendation always is, if a particular hearing is getting missed or you expect it will get missed, let officially write to the adjudicating authority that no, we want one more hearing. Now, many times when it is being sought more precisely and there is adequate time available in their hand, usually their practice is to grant one more hearing. In spite of 3 reminders get expired, there are circumstances exceptionally we could able to get one more hearing extra to submit those details. The only way they will say no, I am done with all my hearing, my time is lost, unless and otherwise they have a due date or a deadline which is very close and they have to pass orders. Unless and otherwise it is always getting granted. Now, in terms of the representation, where if in case for some reason if we are not able to appear, it's always to take formal adjournments either through filing it online or offline, as the case may be. That is a practice that is being followed. In terms of representation is done, order is over and order is passed, there are possibilities there might be mistakes that are there in the order. What sort of a mistake? Any mistake. Let me repeat it. But somehow section 161, when it is being very plainly read, it's a mistake apparent on record. Some mistakes that are there in the record that they are going to be correcting it. That is what often it is interpreted. But we have very interesting to understand. The show cause notice can deliberate on 8 issues. You would have meticulously replied for all 8 issues. Officer would have only discussed about 4 issues. And balance 4 issues he have not discussed at all. Straight away he would have confirmed his thought process. In that circumstance, I am of a view, section 161 can be invoked. Non-replying to the ground raised by the assessee is a reason warranting for rectification. Similarly, in today's context, there is one more challenge is happening. At times this will not happen from the CGST department perspective, but across state departments we have this parallel officers. There is a state tax officer who have power to pass orders. There is also an assistant commissioner who have powers to pass orders. Similar issue, both of them will issue notice. Now suddenly we will have a doubt. Very interesting note, we would have replied to one fellow. And with due respect, this all will happen. It has happened to me. I would say, no, we have already replied, we went, appeared, everything. No, officer is calling, you have not replied, he is scolding. He is going to pass orders. Very interesting note, he has passed orders. The lower officer has passed the order. Whereas, I am appearing before the higher officers. Now the problem here is, if we log into that portal, it will be full of numbers. So, do agree with you, chartered accountants will not get Alzheimer. Okay, they are good in numbers, they'll often see numbers, they'll understand numbers, all that okay, but GST numbers and all is very vague. And so much of notices, 100, 150 line items, if we have notices, which notice for what control, tracking that itself is difficult if the organization having regular notices that need to be done. Why I want to press this, a rectification can be initiated for that. A simple rectification can be initiated. Many times clients miss that point. 3 months timeline is available. After an order is passed, I still have 3 months time to go rectify the order, which is if in case it is a mistake apparent on record. As simple as that. For the same matter, 2 authorities cannot proceed. So these are all some small aspects that need to be taken care before getting for a adverse order from a department. I know I should not move to a next topic in this negative tone, but please be prepared. On certain cases, many times you will get a negative order. Some of the best negatives order I will share to you is, I'm sure everybody sitting in this room knows about debit note, knows about credit note, but the problem here is debit note and credit note understanding from an accountant's perspective, and a debit note and credit note issued under section 34 from very popularly called as a GST debit note and a GST credit note is a world of difference. A GST credit note will be issued by a supplier to reduce his value of supply, and a GST debit note is issued by a supplier to increase his value of supply. Accounting debit note is issued to my customer because of a purchase return. This purchase return, technically what I should do, I should reverse my ITC. I'm sure all of us with me in this page. Yes or no? But I have first year of operations and first few years of operation. The client, instead of reversing his ITC, added it as part of debit note. That's all. He saw debit note and debit note, upload. Nothing. 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20. Oh, suddenly 2021, one thought process comes. They discuss with us. We said, no, there's some problem here. It should not be presented like this. Then we understood the problem, and from 2021 onwards, everything is okay. But first 3 years, there is a challenge. 2024, a notice is getting issued saying that in 17-18, you have allowed your suppliers to claim more credit. You have not reversed your ITC. Please reverse your ITC and now pay. I made a simple submission. My submission was very simple. All that I told is, for a minute, assume that my debit note is wrong. My debit note is wrong. It should not be reported. What I have did, I have taken excess ITC. My excess ITC will get netted off with my excess tax paid. Can you able to appreciate it? The problem is we are all chartered accountant. The moment there is a debit note, I have taken my full ITC of 100, I have to reverse 20. I have not reversed 20. Instead, what I did, I had a wrong practice of what? Of uploading it and paying tax for it. Can you able to appreciate this discussion? The moment this tax, what I paid is wrong, if you remove that, the credit that I take wrong, both can get what? Matched. Unfortunately, matter is pending before the court. That's all, as simple as that. Yet another assessee who, see again, these are all some of the practices from excise they follow, because in excise law this is right, but which under the GST law this is not the correct principle. Coming back here, assessee issued a credit note. He issued a credit note. Very interesting note. Whatever credit note he issued, the other party has reversed his ITC. And this fellow has, instead of reducing his sales, he has claimed it as an ITC. Can you able to appreciate this discussion? All sales written, he is claiming it as what? ITC. See, I am not talking of 2024, somebody is doing like this. Please understand. I am talking of 17, 18, 18, 19, when the law is on its initial stages, all these challenges was there. Let me repeat it. Out and out, all this, they are very clear. Sir, please note, go see GST R2A, go see GST R2B. Boss, that year annual return when I filed at that time, 2A itself is not there. Somebody who has to live in the system to know when, what point in time, what facilities came in. Today people sit on a beautiful facility called as ITC comparison sheet. On a single click of a button, I will know whether my 1(3)B tax discharged by me, my reverse charge, whether tax discharged by me on the reverse charge is proper or not. Let me repeat it. This is the facility that we have today. But this facility was not available in 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, 20, 21, 21, 22. 22, 23, 23, 24 I am having. Now I will use this, sitting at a 23, 24 facility and saying no, 17, 18 you should have done like that. 17, 18 this facility itself was not there. So my core discussions, we have to prepare ourselves on some of the return based liability. Yes, adverse orders are possible. Why? It's a method of reporting and I don't find any fault over here. In case of an adverse order, what is the next course of remedial action that need to be taken care? In case any rectification is possible in terms of the mistake apparent on record, yes, possible. At times data entry errors will happen, yes, do happen. They will mention the tax amount in the, value amount in the tax column. Value of supply 65 lakhs. IGST demand 65 lakhs, CGST demand 65 lakhs, SGST demand 65 lakhs. Please appreciate it, I am having for everything backup, don't be bothered about it. Every variety. And height of it is, some fellow picks up the purchase turnover of mine and passes it as a demand order. Now all this can be rectified. 161 we can make a rectification, it can be done. But that rectification, if it is made within 3 months, is okay. I come to know my order itself is wrong after 4 months when my bank account is attached. Because that fellow is an agriculturist. I don't want to demean somebody in terms of their usage of handheld instrument. But just to understand the intensity of the person, he uses a button phone to communicate with me. And that gentleman who is agriculturist, who buys from the other state the raw groundnuts, do a processing here, make it as a seed quality and sell it as a seed quality. His reason for demand was, you have so much taxable purchase and no taxable sales. And very interesting note, notice is issued, 3 reminders issued, order is issued, after follow-up call was also there. Nothing this gentleman has, because he is not aware. And one fine day his bank is attached, he also not took very seriously. Naturally there is no money in the bank account. What is that they are going to do? When to whom he supplied those seeds or to whom he supplied these seeds, when those people are touched and they call him and say, only then he realized all about it. And when you go back and trace, answer was simple. The demand amount which they are claiming, which is 1.85 crores, the demand itself is wrong. Demand is just 13 lakh rupees. Of course, 13 lakh rupees is a sizable number to that fellow. That itself is not eligible. But understand the challenge that we have here. Now, does order will be there? Challenges, yes. I have X Limited's show cause notice uploaded in the portal with Y's order copy. Can you able to appreciate this discussion? Order is belonging to Y, but the face of it, the amount, everything belongs to what? Y. And uploaded in my portal. Now, what I should do? Very simple, rectification. So sometime we have to be clear in terms of all these aspects, in terms of making presentation for all this. A little area of interest where somebody has to cross lines in connection with ethical considerations, professional conduct. For all said and done, my duty is to explain the facts. Beyond that, it's your responsibility to take up the final decision in case of the allowing or denying an order. Many times it gets allowed, but again, there are a few times they will be sticking on to the procedures. More precisely, in one of the debit note matters which I have explained, in spite of all the representation we have given, we going back to the first principles of administrative law. Officers were very clear in terms of nothing doing. Law wants that you have to reverse your ITC. You have not reversed your ITC, you have paid money. No. Because you paid, no, other party will claim credit. Other party is a very big conglomerate. At no stretch of imagination, he will come and do all this activity. But again, it's a different call. Their last reason was, no, I cannot verify the other person at the other end and claim all these credits. Quickly concluding the aspects in connection with representation on the professional conduct, nothing much to discuss. A very courteous tone we have to go and represent, which all do agree. At times we will have our own set of pressures. This all has to be managed at better time. At times we'll get agitated. What does the order that you are passing? You scold everything, the officer at the office, go back, stand before him, laugh at him, get your order done, because that is the model that at least need to be followed in terms of its. Many times we feel that the orders that are there, which is not of very fair or not up to the mark in connection with sometimes the representations that we make in connection with. Some of the traditional routes or traditional methods in which we make the representation, those procedures will still have its own model and weightage in terms of the presentation. Quickly getting into the next topic of discussion on show cause notices. I've been referring everywhere in connection with all these representation aspects from the show cause notice perspective, where a lot of show cause notices are being issued. Many times, don't ask me why and all, when a show cause notice is issued, our eye straight away goes to the number that is there, and we pick up the so and so file, if it is annual return file, respective month 3B1, start the analysis, review, scribble on the show cause notice that this is how it has to be answered, and done. It's reply. Do we need to technically analyze the show cause notice? As simple as that. We have two differing time limits in terms of the show cause notice. There is a section 73, there is a section 74. Now, is this time limit is relevant to us or irrelevant to us? Is the notice has to be questioned on its very first eligibility, whether this notice is valid or not. Certain matters cannot be brought under the fraud related aspects. In fact, broadly they classify between all those non-fraud, no suppression or no willful misstatement category under section 73, and all those notices which are going to be fraud, suppression, willful misstatement under 74. The only big difference between both of them is going to be the time period for which I can be tested. When it comes to section 74, the larger time period of 5 years comes into play from the due date of annual return for me to issue notices and order. When it comes to section 73 non-fraud case, it is going to be only just 3 years. Now, in this contextual discussion, why discussing about notices date, is it all relevant? Let me put it to you before a stand like this. It is the financial year 18-19, and for our convenience, we will freeze out that the due date for the annual return filing due date for 18-19 got closed by January 2020. So 31st January 20 is the last date of me to file the respective annual return for financial year 18-19. Issue is a simple issue of 2A and 3B. Every single officer would have issued notice before 30th September 2023. Why? Because his last date to pass order is going to be 31/3/24. So 31/3/23. Within that date, he has to issue. Don't ask me why and all. Majority of the transactions were picked up. Majority of them has responded. Everything has happened. But the crucial point is this. 1 or 2 missed out 2A, 3B cases. Straight away section 74 was invoked. Extended period invoked. And they issue notices now, which they have a time limit till a little more. I mean, they had time limit till August, September. Now, why I want to press before you is very simple. Does this notice is valid? The problem for us is the moment 2A, 3B different comes, we are good in numbers. We see the difference is 12 lakh rupees. And this 12 lakh year, that year ITC taken this year, that year import of goods taken this year, that is the reason for difference. Let me repeat it. Let us work on merit. I'm not against working on merit. Let's first question the question. His question was, now why when a show cause notice is issued, a basic test of time need to be done. Is this show cause notice is valid? And very interesting to note, not a single mention of the word suppression is there in the notice. And a 74 notice is issued. Now please note, if a 74 notice is issued, it is the ounce of the department to prove that I have alleged or suppressed something. It is not my responsibility to prove. Now in this context, those notices need to be little more technically analyzed. On what grounds? I have a few grounds that I have written over here. Now, we used to call this as prejudging in a notice. Sometimes the show cause notice will come out and say it is crystal clear. You have to read now. Maybe my language might be a little different, but some of us will have a nice language. But when you read some of these notices, we'll suddenly have a doubt and all. Our basic grammar is okay or this notice is okay. So to that extent. And we have some words like this which are all written. It is crystal clear that you have contravened the provision. This we used to often call it as prejudging an issue. Then when you have taken positions that you are going to go against me, then actually you have not given opportunity for me to explain what is going to be the. Now these are all some words where there is a prejudgment happens and that has to get questioned. And if the law says certain number of time that need to be given, it has to be given. We will come across this challenge in some of the audit matters. In audit matters alone, this will be a problem, preferably if the audit is conducted by state government. I'm not finding fault, but please understand, these are all procedural challenges that we have. Previous day evening, an audit memo will get uploaded in the portal. Previous day evening, very late evening, 7:30 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. it will get uploaded. Next day morning, 10:30 a.m. it will vanish because reply time is over. Fellow has not even given me full 24 hours time. And the demand size runs into 6 crore rupees, and in one case 34 crore rupees. I saw a 34 crore rupee demand alone, plus interest, plus penalty. When I saw that gentleman, he was very happy. How come 100 crore rupee notice is on his hand? He's more happy. Then I asked, sir, I'll answer all this. It's different. But you seems to be not much bothered about the notice. Ganesh, please understand. My turnover itself is 32 crores. I cannot get a demand for what? 34 crores. Now then how the demand is came? Simple. 144 crores. Somebody else's purchase number is incorporated in this fellow's. Now whose purchase number I don't know. Somebody else. Honestly, somebody else's purchase number is incorporated in this fellow's show cause notice. Of course, at the order level it got dropped. We are not much bothered about it. But the point that I want to is, then I understood. If a problem goes beyond a level, I think the fellow who, if a big loan is given by the bank, at one point in time, bank has to have the fear. The borrower need not be bothered about it. He can be in the way he wanted. And in the same fashion, I was saying him, this number itself is not there. The notice is wide ab initio. It's not speaking at all. It doesn't deliberate on how this number is arrived. It's a mathematical flaw. He started to scold. Now, why I want to highlight to you is, when the time frame is not given, when the minimum time for you to respond, which is a 7-day time, if that itself is not given, is it not your right to respond is getting affected? When right to respond to a notice gets affected, is it not my responsibility when I file a reply, I have to record that my right of responding was not given, which is prima facie a principle of violation of natural justice. Let me repeat it. Let me answer in my reply in the next 40 pages. That is not relevant. But first 6 to 8 pages. In fact, when it comes to state government, the adjudicating audit authority is different and the adjudicating officer is different. The adjudicating officer often used to say, why you are always saying first 6 page you don't read, first 8 page you don't read, first 10 page you don't read. Nothing, ma'am. If you read that first 6 page, 8 page and all, your BP will shoot up by 140 by 80. Why, Ganesh? No, I will scold that gentleman. Okay, unnecessarily. I am not scolding you. Please understand. I am using very careful words. Learned audit authority. You are not audit authority. You are adjudicating authority. Learned audit authority has not given me time. In fact, the officer went next level. In any case, I am agreeing to majority of your proposals and it gets dropped. No, correct. You agree. It doesn't mean my right which is denied is not being allowed, which I want to place on record that my right was denied. Let me repeat it. This is something very important. This will help not at the adjudication, not at the first level, at the tribunal level. We will simply walk out of the tribunal courtroom, simply saying that I have raised this objection. This notice is not valid on my initial day itself. If I fail, let me repeat, if I fail to raise my objection on the date of issue of notice, I am sorry, at a later date, you have cooperated with the proceedings. So I cannot today come out and say the notice is void. I'm sorry, at a commissioner appeal level, we are not expecting that it will get quashed, and the power to remand back is also not there. Because of these two reasons, it's very difficult. But at a tribunal level, all this is possible. Now, these are all some of the basic questions that need to be raised when it comes to this. Similarly, there's one more issue that would happen with preferably the state departments, that if your purchase turnover is so much, then your sales turnover is deemed number. The purchase plus 10% plus 5% for freight, you will get one magical number. That number into 18% is your GST payment. In one of our clients' case, fellows have issued a small demand of about 2.5 crores. Now the CFO got a little agitated. Ganesh, what is this happening? This fellow says that I am doing purchase and all. I'm basically a mutual fund house. In fact, I went to officer and told, sir, this is a mutual fund. First of all, that fellow is not governed by your law at all. Then why he took registration? Correct. Nice question. I also asked him. I also said to him, you are not required to have GST registration. But unfortunately, this fellow paid to one foreign technocrat $10,000 month on month for analyzing on mutual funds. I am forced to take registration under section 24. Please appreciate this logic. None of my turnover is covered over here because security is being neither a goods nor a service. I am out of this net. I am not going to charge brokerage. I am talking of a typical vanilla alternate investment fund or a mutual fund. I'm not covered by your law. But interesting note, because me having GST number, now everybody who provides service to me issues me B2B invoice, comes sits in my GST R2A, and I meticulously, of course, for the last 2-3 years, we avail the credit and reverse it completely. First 2-3 years, we don't know all this. We said, boss, if something is not eligible, let us not take. Why unnecessarily we have to invent this problem of taking the credit, reversing it, all this and all. Now, any case, because of that only reason, suddenly a mutual fund house and all is issued. Now, you have suppressed your sales. Now, where sales? Whose sales? Where is that sales in the turnover, in the financial statement? Now, at times, is this assumption is valid? No, it's not valid. How come? Unless and otherwise a best judgment provision has not been invoked. This is not possible. Again, we still have this principle which is being pressed at the various levels. Today this issue is settled down, but again, exceptionally you have 1 or 2 people alone will have this. Show cause notice will be served to us, but it would have not been uploaded in the portal. Let me repeat, it is not uploaded. If we interestingly read Rule 142(1)(a), it very clearly says, show cause notice along with Form DRC 1A shall be issued. A summary notice in Form DRC 1A shall be issued. So a summary notice which will say what is your issue, what is the basic reason, how much tax payable, that is DRC 1, and I have a show cause notice which need to be attached to it. Many times central department will issue show cause notice, they will not upload it in the portal. No, I don't have a procedure, all this. Some of us question this aspect. And there is something very interesting to note will happen from the state aims perspective. State government has lined up with the GST portal. They use the facilities of GSTIN and all notices are issued. They issue a DRC1, but what is not there inside it? Show cause notice is not there. Can we able to appreciate this discussion? I have a DRC1, but I don't have what? Show cause notice. No, sir, you have ASMT10. Boss, ASMT10 is a scrutiny notice. No, that scrutiny got converted to show cause notice. Correct. Scrutiny is there. Scrutiny notice is there. Where is the show cause notice? If you ask at all, they'll get agitated. And please note, in majority of the cases, when the matter is not responded, if it is responded, it would have been dropped. If matters are not responded, next level it will go. These are all some of the issues that need to be taken care of. And these issues has to be pressed from the first level, not at the last level. At the last level, pressing it on a technical ground will not help at all. Followed by, show cause notice cannot call for additional documents or additional records. I'm sure all of us will agree with on all this. In fact, I'll go to my next slide. The first line of the show cause notice, first line alone is important. On applying the general principles, to me, charge sheet and show cause notice is no different. Charge sheet is from the context of criminal law. This is more from the context of an economic offense or a criminal civil law. It cannot call for documents. You give me this document, that documents, that detail, this detail, RERA detail, advance receipt detail, that detail. Thus, this is show cause notice or scrutiny notice. Now, very interesting note, a very few raise all these questions. Very, very few raise all these questions. And you want to give your rejections, yes. And yet another challenge is a show cause notice will be issued. We would have replied to it. They thought that point will be a very great point and it got busted. Okay, for some reason. Suddenly they will say, no, this is all okay, sir. Tomorrow you come with those documents alone, we will verify and we will close. Now, why that documents and all required? No, we want to verify as part of ITC. What you asked? You asked me to submit documents by testing my ITC. I prove to you that my ITC is eligible. Now there ends the matter. Let me repeat it. There is something called as a limitation to the show cause notice. A show cause notice cannot travel beyond its jurisdiction. If the question is on ITC, he has to stop at ITC or he is forced to stop at ITC. He cannot move to valuation. There can be 100 issues on valuation. There can be a short payment of tax. You come up with one more notice if you have time. If you don't have time, then the story is different. If you have time, you come up with one more notice. But this notice is for ITC, means it has to test only on ITC. It cannot go on the next aspects. Let me repeat, these are all some of the fine grounds. It is not that preferably, I'm sorry to say this, state government at times feels show cause notice is an omnibus entry. No, not at all. In fact, in some of my submissions, the first line, the moment I know there are many big fish, this fellow has caught only one small fish, so he should preferably not step into me. I'll write my objection simply saying under section 75(7), there is a limitation that has been involved in this. You have asked me to test or respond to this point, I will respond to this points. You are deprived from going any other point other than this point. Now, do I need to write this? Yes, please write it. No, he'll come up with one more show cause notice. Okay, one more show cause notice, let him come. But it is not that easy to come up with one more show cause notice, issuing, process, all that and all. But in any case, all this sometime need to get recorded. Followed by a show cause notice demand not being quantified. A show cause notice interest and penalty need not be quantified, but demands has to be quantified. Somehow has to be quantified. In fact, that is why we have this so well high-pitched demands that comes, because they'll select the sundry creditors number and they'll multiply into 18% and slap on us for what? For non-payment within 180 days. But that is my closing debtors, closing creditors. No, for that closing creditors, they'll pick up closing debtors also. Sir, I thought trade receivable is your trade payable. Trade payable is sundry creditors, number is wrong, and again, this is not the entire money, we have to give a working and it can get wrong. Now, my core contention is every demand has to be quantified, the show cause notice cannot happen. Now, in fact, if you carefully watch on all these matters, these are all out and out technical ground. Now, will a technical ground will survive? See, technical ground has to be raised. Case cannot many times survive only on technical ground. Only on technical ground. The problem is this. At one point in time, people have to get into merit, but again, it depends upon the respective strategy that has been opted in connection with that particular aspect. For all said and done, the foundation for the adjudication itself is show cause notice. Show cause notice has to be very clear. It has to be a speaking order. It cannot be prejudged at all. There cannot be all that again and again he can write, or the officer can write this, it appears to me only. He cannot conclude. It's crystal and clear. That phrase is enough that he has prejudged, and the moment there is a prejudging, then rest all will get concluded in a little different fashion. Assumption and presumptions, all this is not allowed. Followed by all this technical grounds has to be pressed at a little different level in terms of the notices that are being on hand. For 3 to 5 issues, I'll take just some of your time and deliberate my thought process on this. It was a notice on comparing the system computed summary, which is a facility available in the GST portal, with the GSTR 9 filed by the assessee. Assessee is basically a pharmaceutical company, pharma dealer, runs about 30-35 shops in and around Tamil Nadu. and sells medicines. Apart from that, he also deals in wholesale buying and selling of medicines. Now, whatever medicine he sells over the counter, it all gets reported in the respective table of GSTR 1. Whatever medicine he sells as a wholesale, that goes as a B2B purchase. Now, why this discussion? It's all normal only, no? Correct. Please note, he dealing in pharma product, he deals with 5% GST, 12, 18, 28 and also exempted. When I issue an invoice, it can be in any combinations. Can you be able to appreciate this discussion? It can be exempted plus 12, 18 combination or all together or any of those combination. In his B2B invoice, there is also an exempted supply, and out your company has automated everything. There is no manual intervention at all. In fact, they went to a next level where a JSON file will be downloaded from their SAP. That JSON file will get uploaded in the GST portal. To that extent, they have control. But when their GSTR 9 is filed, table number 4 talks about taxable supply. Table number 5 of GSTR 9 talks about exempted supply. Supplies on which tax is not payable. Of the supplies done by me, let's say 5 crore for our convenience, 4 crores are taxable supply and 1 crore is what? Exempted supply. They have very promptly reported 4 crores in B2B. Same B2B, I have did an exempted supply, which will come as 1 crore in exempted supply. Fellow, compared to SCS, look at my system computed summary, table number 4A, it shows 5 crores, whereas you are offering only what? 4 crore, 1 crore you have suppressed. Here, take notice. Only difference is the show cause notice was issued for a value of 34 crores. That's all. Now, do people issue notices like this? Yes. The debit note and credit note saga I already told to you. One more practice that is being followed over here, which is very right also. I have received a credit note. I have purchased certain goods, well, let's say for our convenience, goods rupees 1 lakh, on which I have an ITC of 10,000 rupees. And this goods, 10,000 rupees worth of goods I have returned, which results into me, I have to reverse an ITC of 1,000 rupees. Now, 2 options I will place on record before you. Option number 1, 5,000 rupees I have to take credit and reverse 1,000. Option number 2, take credit of 4,000. What assessees will do? Option 1, take 5,000, reverse 1,000, or option 2, 4,000. Yes.
Option 1.
Option 1. If you did option 1, you will get notice. Problem is this. Very interesting one. Now, where it is told that I have to follow option 2, nowhere it is told. And it is not wrong and all. Now, you have a table called as 4B in your GSTR 3B where you want me to reverse your ITC. I reverse this ITC. What is the problem? No, you have to adjust and net take ITC. Now, do we have notices for this? Yes. And very interesting note, we will say, sir, in table 7, we have reversed this ITC. No, that is in others, no. Okay, where I should put 37 talks of 180 days reversal. Rule 42, 43 talks of exempted goods reversal. 17.5 talks of blocked credit reversal. I have no place at all to report apart from transactional credit. So mine is not transactional credit, mine is not 180 days, mine is not rule 42, 43 which is exempted supply. Where I will put? Others only. No, others is for anything. No? Anything, this is also there. No, I have only reversed my money. No, sir. No. Please note, we have issues on this counter. Universal issue, all of us My expectation is all of us should have minimum one notice, which is 2A, 3B. What will happen to this? Nothing will happen. We have to file appeal. It will come. Over a period of time, it has to get settled. See, let me repeat it. If somebody follow 183 circular, 193 circular, they get the matter concluded, that's is different. I am talking of a genuine fact, sir. I have paid all my money to the supplier. Supplier has not paid to you. Is it my lookout or your lookout? First question. Second, where is the missionary provision for me to that fellow has not paid tax? How will I know? Have you alerted me in any way? Do you have any facility if I put his GST number? Yes, paid. Not paid. Do I have any facilities that I can see? When nothing is available, you are responsible for everything. You are responsible for everything. For what I am responsible? At least for this state, we have the jurisdictional high court which comes out and protect us in divide with all. But again, we have conflicting views in connection with it. My personal submission is until 1/1/2022, prior to 1/1/2022, 2A3B will have its own challenges associated with it. Post that, if it comes only, you are eligible. Otherwise, the matter will start. Now, these are all some of the prominent notices, left, right, center, that are being issued. Any questions, anything that any of you have? Yes, I would take it up. Else, thank you all for effective and patient listening. Over to you. Thank you. Yes, sir.
This is a simple question. Power of attorney, stamp paper or on letter of authority with a stamp?
It's a nice question. Sir, are you going to go as an authorized representative, or you just go just representing him for a small work?
Particular SCN only, sir.
Particular SCN, my recommendation is a power of attorney or an authorization with a 20 rupee, court fee 20 rupee.
Court fee, yeah.
Court fee 20 rupee. Or a power of attorney.
That is for 100 rupees.
That is for a 100 rupee, yes. Now we have the revised Stamp Act, which is applicable from May 24. 200 rupees will be applicable. That would be the minimum requirement. So, my intention is that this becomes a model.
Yes, sir.
So, power of attorney is mandatory and 200 rupees stamp paper becomes mandatory. That's no second thought about it. Yes, sir.
Secondly, we are uploading the reply, but the officer is not dropping the case.
You have uploaded your reply, but he is not dropping the case. Okay. Any specific reason, sir? You have any, that is why it is not dropped? Any specific reasons that you have?
I think they are expecting to meet the officer and.
That is normal. That you have to go brief him. Many times your reply will be so voluminous that other person cannot comprehend it. In spite they will be able to comprehend also, they will not take the pain of reading it, preferably if it is a state authority. They have, the challenge with state authority is they have minimum 600 notices to 1000 notices per year to get closed on the due date. So, humanly what is possible alone is possible. So it's again that officer with just 2-3 very small understanding stuff. Many times if we upload the data, it will be there. It will be there, sir. I'm not joking. For example, a reply which is filed by me last week, additional submissions, but originally notice was issued in 2022 and the due date was given as 30 days. We prayed for another 45 days extension. By the 45 days extension, we made a complete submission for about 350 pages. They relied upon document, this, that, everything. Gave one copy, filed with the department, online uploaded and gave a copy. Matter was comfortably sleeping for 1.5 years. Now only it is being taken up. Now why? Because 2021 due date is approaching. That's all. And no other reason why it is taken up. Suddenly off the way we have a very day before yesterday they had the hearing. I have to top it up with some more additional submissions. One more round of additional submissions was given. Now my recommendation is at times you have to go explain to them, submit it. Okay. Now for some strategic reason you are avoiding, okay, which you can't share with me, I do understand. Then you don't expect a favorable order. You have to expect an otherwise order. That's the reason it could be. Yes.
So this is basically on eligibility of a credit note. So this particular person is a pharmaceutical dealer and he will get return of goods very frequently. Basically it's a pharma equipment which can be returned. So there is one rule for credit note which says I can claim credit note, validity of a credit note is only up to September or October of the next financial year. What happens if there is a necessity for me to issue a credit note for basically a sales return which happens beyond this time limit? Should I not reverse the GST portion on that credit note which I receive?
Basically, I'll take up an example and explain it. April 23, an invoice is issued, and the medicine or the equipment or the product has a shelf life of 3 or 4 years. And it is always understood in the pharma industry, 6 months before the end of shelf life, material will be recalled. It's a practice. Now, if you carefully look, which is from the date of invoice, from the date of return, it is 2.5 years, which is far beyond the time limit allowed under the GST law. Because for me, this particular year, next year, November 30th is the last date. Which means technically, at least for overall coordination, by September or October return, I have to file it on November 10th. Technically for me, October is the last date. Technically. October becomes the last date for me. And before October, no medicines will get returned. In that circumstance, that goods has to be billed back as a supply. It cannot come as a credit note. It has to come only as a product that is being billed back. Or this. At times what organization does is, because it is a recall item and after this recall they will store it in there, it goes back to the factory or to the main distributor or super stockist, and there it gets discarded through a process of destruction. Because of this, what is also warranted here on the other side is the reversals of ITC. So keeping all this in mind, some of the pharma organizations have decided that they will compensate their customer by issuing a financial credit note. Which means you will send back the material, you will not do anything. For the pharma company, the GST paid is a cost which they are agreed to bear it, and they will issue a financial credit note. So to that extent, the concerned person is not going to lose anything. But if you look at from the pharma company perspective, they will lose the GST portion of it because their margin is so high, they afford to do it, and this is a very small portion as compared to the original turnover or the aspects that is paid. So this is the process that need to be followed. When it returns, it has to return within the stipulated time.
We can't show it as a financial credit note then and there. When the products get returned, I cannot issue a credit note without GST.
No, you can issue you can. Nobody stops you from doing it.
Okay.
You can issue, can I issue it before early itself? Yes, you can. But generally you will not prefer, no? When your material comes back, you already paid a tax. When material comes back, you will be inclined to take benefit of the tax and adjust with your subsequent tax payable. So, if you...
I can issue in case it's beyond say 1 year, beyond 2 years I am going to recall a material.
Beyond the section 34 time limit, it will be a financial credit note.
Okay.
Within the 34 time limit, it will be a regular GST credit.
And there is no concern if I am going to issue a financial credit note for this transaction, even when I am getting a supply back, even when I am getting my goods back.
You are getting your material back. It's not technically a supply back. You are getting your material back. No, I want benefit of GST, then ask that fellow to sell the material back to you. Now here, the expiry of the medicine is little more important. When the, because I was very clear in my discussion, 6 months before the shelf life, it will get returned. Because there is a returning process and time zone work behind all this. If the material is expired, now if we are going to come with the working model of it will be returned back, then people will question whether you have the right to sell the medicine. Can we be able to appreciate? Because it already got expired. So if it is shelf life is less than this, then it can be even sold back instead of a credit note route also. That is also practiced. And again, it depends from organization to organization, what practice they follow. It's all different.
Is there any time limit for rectification to be processed by the officer?
Rectification of orders. 3 months time. From the date of order, 3 months.
No, 3 months. The assessing has.
Officer for him, suo motu rectification is another 3 months.
Another 3 months.
Another 6 months.
If he doesn't do that, is a consequence for that?
For assessee only consequence. Assessee only for bearing with all these orders, assessee has to face the brunt of it. No, officer time limit is technically 6 months. That is from the order 6 months. But as on date, portal is allowing even beyond 6 months. To a little 1.5, 2 months also, you can go back and rectify as long as genuinely the matter is still an issue. Some of these matters I highlighted. No, AC also has issued a AC has passed an order against AC order. People have filed an appeal. Back to back, DCPO also passed orders, almost on the same matter. Now bank got attached for the DCPO's order. So that is how. In those matters, the time limit to file appeal is over. The time limit to file appeal, which means 3 months plus 1 month condonation time, 4 months is over. Which means naturally rectification time is over. Only way possible is I have to pray before the jurisdiction officer, and jurisdiction officer on suo motu rectification can do this. Up to another 2 months. 6 months time we have. 3 months for assessee, 3 months for the officer. First. Yes, sir.
Assessee received notice for not charging GST on the RCM basis for engaging the secondary employees, foreign employees. But the demand raised for the entire annual turnover. So when I checked with the CTO, he says, I don't know what is the charges you paid, so I raised demand for the entire turnover. You can do so.
That's what I told, no sir. He does not have any number. You know only one thing, that you have involved in some sort of a secondment of employee. That too, this after northern decision only this positions majority of the state government has taken, preferably the north and south Madras of Chennai has taken a position post Supreme Court's northern decision only. So coming back here, because they don't have anything to quantify, they simply took the turnover and quantified it, which is not fair. Which is not fair. We have to get it dropped by making a representation saying that this is what is my forex, and applicable, not applicable has to be taken and decided. Thank you all for effective and patient listening. Thank you. Yes, yes sir. Tell me, sir.
Now, having seen the procedure of 2B from the November, October, now can we expect from this next year the monthly return related show-cause notice will get reduced?
Sir, I agree to you. Overall, the return-based liabilities will get reduced. But the way, for example, I'm not finding fault with anything. We have a very recent advisory given by the government in terms of filling up Form GSTR 9. On 9th December 2024, they have issued an advisory, just 5-point advisory on how to treat table 8 of GSTR 9 for this year. What is the big change between previous year and this year? Nothing. Previous year, the data used to get captured from GSTR 2A, which is basically a dynamic return. Now this year, data gets captured based on 2B, which is a static return. Now, I have took ITC only what is appeared in my return. There is a row which says, this year ITC taken in next year, kindly report. My total ITC which reflected in this year 1 lakh, ITC claimed by me 1 lakh for a convenience we'll say. I have transaction booked in my financial statements, but my vendors either not filed or I have booked my transactions and I have not taken ITC for some reason. These two transactions I took credit in next year. I have been asked forcefully to report in 8C now. If I report, I will get definitely a negative number because the transaction get reflected in next year. When we all feel that everything is getting settled down, no notice will come, all this saga will go only from 2021, 21, 22 means for 23, 24, new poly government has identified. For you, fresh notice we will give you.
Right, sorry, I didn't pick up correctly. 8C talks about only the to be unreconciled. Carry forward 8C alone, to be alone has to be placed in 8C. Only
So,
table 12.
no, sir. It's not carry forward to be. That is where the difference is. It is not what is appearing and carry forward. It is what you claimed next year also should be forming part of 8C is what is the advisory comes out and highlights.
Agreed, I do agree. 8C talks about what is being claimed in 24-25. In other words, it is appearing in February 24, January 24, and the material has not come to us, and it has to be. So, in that way, the
Sir, that is okay. That is okay. I received the bill in February 24, but that fellow filed the return in April 24.
So that is alone will come under the table 12. That's what is my interpretation.
That will come in 8C, just for your information, small corrections at table 13. Row number 13. That's all. 12 is for reversal, 13 is for claim of ITC. Nothing. That's okay. Almost in the same landing numbers only. Now my point is, it will come in both places. 8, and I'll put it a little differently, sir. 8C is mandatory. Reporting in table 13 is optional.
Agreed. Then what happens to the 6M?
6M is additional. Last year ITC I have taken this year, or any other credit which has not been claimed.
Because of this situation, it looks like why not we demand authorities, they should not initiate any of the proceedings for the monthly return, like income tax return, only annual proceedings, either under the 9 or 9C. Why not our council put a representation to the government? Because it's a so transaction-wise questioning is okay with reference to check post and all those things. But with reference to assessment matter, once annual return is provided like income tax return, so they can question 9 or 9C, doesn't matter. So why not the council take up the matter? That is my presentation to you.
I agree to you, sir, but of late also we are getting notices only on annual basis only. At transaction level, monthly basis, we are not getting notices, is my version. To what extent I have underwent, it is indirectly, in fact, only our concern is 9 and 9C, in spite of everybody filing, meticulous efforts goes in and filling, people are not giving the adequate, preferably officers are not giving the adequate weightage that need to be given for it. That's all. In case that need to be represented. I have no views on it. It's need to be accepted. Thank you. Thank you for effective and patient listening. Thank you.